Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. The Select Board is called to order at 6:14 with a little bit of technical difficulties, but we're doing well now. I'm going to take a roll call. Sheila?
Here.
Pat?
Yes, I'm here. I'm here.
Yeah, I hear you. Ed?
Here.
Mike?
Here.
Okay, this is a virtual Board of Selectmen meeting. We're using the Zoom conferencing format. The webinar ID is 982-85157-963. If you wish to make a public comment and speak on an agenda item, please use the raise your hand feature on your device. The moderator will be notified and he will identify you when it's your turn to comment. Item 2. Approve the July 23rd, 2020 meetings.
So moved.
I have a first.
Second.
First and a second. Okay, roll call vote. Sheila?
Aye.
Pat?
Yes, aye.
Hear me? Okay. I just went off. Mike?
Yep, aye.
Alan says aye. Ed, you said aye?
Aye.
Okay. Motion carries. Item 3, public forum. This is an opportunity for anyone who wants to address the Board of Selectmen with any issue that is not on the agenda. So we have somebody that wants. Jim?
My mic's on.
There we
There
go.
he is.
He's on mute.
Yep,
There
now
we
I'm
go.
on. Okay, good evening. I
Hi,
am
Jim.
as the president of the board of CHEMS, and I had sent over some graphics that hopefully will be up on the screen. If we can do that. Okay. And so will the selectmen see the slides? Oh, rats. Okay, well, the reason I'm doing it is because on Tuesday, we took possession of a new A1. And there it is. And so you can see it. We would have brought it down to you so that you could look at it, but the way things are, we couldn't do it. So let's go to the second slide, please. The cost of this new unit was around $250,000, and we traded in the old A1. And just hold up right there. Thank you. We traded in the old A1, and the CHEMS board tries to upgrade our equipment every 7 to 10 years. And it's been 10 years since we bought an ambulance. We funded this completely out of our endowment. And this unit meets the 2020 regulations. It has a new power stretcher so that one person can load and unload a patient without breaking their backs. And the interior is laid out a lot better by our crew headed by Chief Joe Carroll and Assistant Chief Kyle Gagnon. The unit is a Horton emergency vehicle type 3. It sits on a 2019 Ford chassis, E450, with a gasoline-powered engine. If you would just go through the slides, please, and we can just take you quickly. If you'll notice down just beyond where it says Ambulance 1, there's an insignia on this side. If you go to the second slide, please. There's another one on the other side. Just past the Ambulance 1, And keep going, please. And this just shows you our lettering and what we did. Continue. The rear. And the next slide, I think, is it open? And then the last slide, if you would go, please, is that the board has dedicated this unit to Judy Barrett. And so that's what those insignias say on either side. And,
That's fabulous.
Yes, very nice.
and that's the end of our presentation to let you go back.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Thank you.
That is
Thank you.
fabulous.
You take care, Jim.
Thank you. I have to stay around for other objects coming up later.
Okay.
Okay.
Don't go too far.
Yeah.
Is there anybody else that wants to make any comments on public forum? You seeing hands raised or anything? Okay. Moving right along. Well, actually, do we have any written comments?
That's good.
No.
Okay. All right. Item 4, public hearing on the proposed amendment to the Kennebunkport Traffic and Parking Control Ordinance. In Section 2, Parking Control Regulations 27 Ocean Avenue. The amendment would limit parking for 2 hours. I'm going to open the public hearing. Is there anybody raising their hands for the public hearing? What's that? I couldn't hear. Okay, would you let her speak, please?
Can you hear me?
Yes, we
Yes, we
can.
can.
Okay. Hi, I'm Laura. I own Dana on Ocean Ave, and I just recently opened Dana for Men, which is right next door. And actually, the addresses that we're talking about are between 123 and 127. It actually might even continue down to 133. I know in the notes it said 27 Ocean Ave, but it's a little bit farther down.
Yeah, just to clarify, 27 is the section under section 2. It's the subsection of the ordinance, not the address.
I gotcha. Okay. I was thinking it was 127. And so that's where the confusion was. But so we've always had public parking on our street. No time limit. Anybody's been able to come up and park all day, come up, leave your car in the morning, go out on your boat, go fishing, go to the beach, or employees in the area have always just been able to park there, which in turn takes away from us having customers park there and takes away from business. And it's been happening for years, but more so this year it seems like. And this is the time now where we really need to take advantage of the business that's out there. And so I know we're all coming together between us and Port Lobster and Mabel's and Chris Becker and the Breakwater. We're all trying to figure out how to make this a better situation for all of us. And I think if we were to have a time limit on parking, it would be really nice to have 60 minutes like Dock Square does. But even if we could get 2-hour parking, I think that would help to deter the people who come and just park their car for the day and, take away from the business that we're trying to get down on this end of town. So I think just even that 2-hour parking would really, really help us. And we're just trying to take advantage of the business that's out there right now. So that's all from me.
Well, thank you very much.
Good job, Laura.
I'm going to recuse myself from any vote on this since I own Port Lobster and it's right across the street from where she's talking about. So is there any comments? Is there anything anybody would like to do or mention on this?
No, I think it's a good idea because we've been trying to help the businesses out down in the Dock Square area. This will be our chance to help the businesses on the upper end of Ocean. I think I'm not against it.
I'm not either, but I'd like to know what is it, a 2-hour limit in Dock Square?
So Dock Square, right in the very center of Dock Square is 60 minutes. And then it is 2 hours and 4 hours as you get a little further out from Dock Square on some of the side streets.
Okay. Just want to know, yeah. I have no problem with it, no question.
I have no issue with it.
Pat?
Yeah, I'm good.
I have a question.
Yep.
The parking down in Dock Square, that's generally usually the limits are in the summertime. Lori?
Well, the restrictions are year round, but we don't enforce. You
Okay,
know, when there's nobody in town, we don't enforce those restrictions.
okay. I just was wondering. I didn't know if there was a sunset.
Except during Prelude.
Thank you.
So I'm going to close the public hearing since there isn't any other questions.
Oh,
I'm sorry, I couldn't hear you. Oh, okay. He's muted.
Hi, can you hear me?
yep.
Yes.
Yes.
Oh, okay, thanks, fantastic, and thanks for letting us be a part of this meeting. That's really great to hear your feedback from that, and just thoughts about helping out the businesses. You know, we just want to work together. Basically, I'll keep it like that. I just had the same feelings like Laura did, and knowing too that the colony is going to be doing some construction and work here also in the future. I think yeah, if we can do like some sort of 2-hour limit, I think that would just be beneficial for everybody. That's really all my 2 cents. But I really think it would be a major improvement for the shops along here. It makes a huge difference because when somebody does leave after parking here all day, both Laura and I immediately notice usually somebody from out of town immediately parking, and then even better yet, they'll come into our gallery or shop and buy something. So it's proof that really those spots do matter a lot. So just thanks very much for your consideration.
Yep.
Mike?
Hi, can you hear me?
Yep.
Yes.
Just as a clarification, the only thing in Dock Square that's year-round are the 15-minute spots in front of the pharmacy. We do take down the 1-hour signs, and I believe it's after Columbus Day, but it's by the
Yeah.
ordinance. And then there is a stated time to put them up, and it's actually different for Dock Square than it is for Main Street. But I think we ought to just look at, as we go forward, just look at the existing ordinance and probably just coordinate it with what we're doing on Main Street, because we're out there. That way we can make sure all the signs go up at the same time. That's all I got.
Okay. Is there any more hands up? Okay, I will close the public hearing. Board, what's your wishes?
Do we need a vote?
Yes.
Okay, I'll make a motion that we amend the Kennebunkport traffic and parking control ordinance in section 2, parking control regulation 27 Ocean Avenue. The amendment would limit parking to 2 hours.
I have a
Second.
first.
Second.
And Mike seconds it. Okay, roll call. Sheila?
Aye.
Pat?
Aye.
Ed?
Aye.
Mike?
Aye.
Alan has recused himself. The motion carries. Okay. Item 5, review ordinances for November 3, 2020 ballot. A, codification of ordinances for November 3rd, 2020. B, emergency management ordinance. And C, land use ordinance amendment regarding tents. Is Werner here or in the background or no?
We should bring forward Tracy and Werner.
Okay. Hi, Tracy, you're still muted. There you go.
Hi. Again,
Hey, Tracy.
this is becoming a regular thing for me.
It is.
Okay, so these are the 3 ordinance revisions, and letter B, the emergency management ordinance, is actually a new one. But these are the 3 ordinances that will be on the ballot in November. So the first one we talked about at a meeting in July, and we sent your revisions to the attorney, and she made her own changes, and that's what you have before you now, is just a few little tweaks here and there. And we took out the big section about the buoys that you had asked for.
Can I ask Ed a question on that? I'm not against it. I just want to know, Ed, we're not in any violation of any Coast Guard regulations or right to navigate or anything like that.
I couldn't speak to that because I don't know, but
We
what I do,
did have our harbor master check that language. and He was
Yeah.
fine with removal of it.
what, it's ultimately, outside of the harbor there, that's the Coast Guard's responsibility. They maintain the buoys, the navigational buoys, not the lobster buoys.
I just want to make sure we're okay with
Yeah.
everything. That's all. That was all I had there.
Continue on.
So that's really all we're doing tonight, is just having you review these 3 again and make any final adjustments, because at the next meeting, I'm going to present the draft warrant for approval, and then you will sign the warrant at the first meeting in September.
So I have one on the tent ordinance. And
Okay.
I'd like to see it, I'd like to have it say, temporary placement of an awning or tent exceeding 80 square feet in size from Memorial Day. I would like it to say from Memorial Day weekend until Labor Day.
Yeah, because I agree with Alan, because what happens here is that we add an extra 30 days per calendar year, don't we, here?
Yes. Yeah.
Makes it 120. Is that what we intended?
Well, I just think that if you don't include the weekend, then you're not going to be able to put the tent up until Memorial Day. And you want to be able to do that for the weekend.
Okay, my question is more like, we were talking about 60 days, then we went from Memorial Day through Labor Day. That's 90 days.
Right.
But the way it reads is, that's the way I understood it. And the way it's reading now is temporary tents from a maximum of 30 days per calendar year to include in addition the period from Memorial Day through Labor Day of each year. So that reads to me like you can do 120 days because you can do 30 days outside of those.
Right.
Is that what we intended? That's all I'm asking.
Yes, it was.
It was.
Yes.
Okay, I didn't remember.
That's how I read it. And that's how I
So
took
we're
it.
saying 120 days.
Say that again?
We're saying it's 120 days
Right, total.
total. Yeah, okay. I just couldn't remember what we had said.
Right.
It struck me as additive than what we had agreed to.
So,
We did discuss a few different things, but that's what Werner and I heard, was that it was Memorial Day weekend to Labor Day, and then an additional 30 days
Okay.
in the given calendar year outside that. And maybe we just say up to 120 days. I don't know what you want to do, but the only other, besides Memorial Day weekend, the attorney added that it shall be permitted without a permit. And that without a permit was not our intention. Our intention was that it would still be a permit.
Right, right.
So I would suggest we delete that phrase.
okay. I'm fine with that.
I've
Okay.
no,
Yeah, I
So-
didn't have a problem. I just want to make sure that we were in agreement that it was 120 days. That's all.
Right.
And then under the codification on page 9, under peace and good order, you guys had talked about electronically amplified sound. And the violation currently says that it shall be subject to a penalty of $100 per, before it said per day, and then it could change to per offense. But I think your intent was per offense per day. So if there were multiple offenses in a given day, someone could be liable for that. But we're looking for clarification on that.
Well, if it were per offense, you could have multiple offenses in a day without saying per offense per day.
I mean, Werner, what are your thoughts? I think if it doesn't say per day, the offense is an offense, but I
I
mean,
mean,
because it's
you could
music, it
conceivably
can
be charged with multiple offenses of speeding within a day, or other,
Yeah.
you know,
I think,
illegal parking, etc.
I think per offense is the right way.
Yeah, I would think that if, whoever's, in the enforcement position of this, if someone's getting a ticket per day or per offense, regardless of, the day, I think that stacks up.
So he can get more than one ticket if he has more than one offense per day. Is that correct?
That would be my understanding.
Okay. Makes sense. So, is that all you have on this?
Yeah, I think we just want to point out too, in the last page of the codification document, the attorney did make some amendments regarding the marijuana establishments. It doesn't change any of the intent. It was just, I think, updating it with some new statutes and using, how attorneys like to turn their own phrase. So that's the only other changes of any significance.
But that change means, I think, when I read it, and I had a question as well, is that use of marijuana in the town of Kennebunkport is okay.
It's
subject
legal.
to state
Yeah,
of Maine okay, that's what I wanted to make sure. Yeah.
right.
So, do we need a motion on this, or we're gonna wait till next week, next month? No, I mean, next meeting.
I think we're looking for a motion to place them on the warrant, if
Yeah,
you guys are good with them.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well,
Who wants to
I
make a
move that
motion?
we place these items on the warrant as written or as amended.
I have a first.
I'll second.
Sheila seconds it. Okay, I'm gonna take a roll call. Sheila,
Aye.
Pat, Ed,
Aye.
Aye.
Mike,
Aye.
Alan says aye, motion carries.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. A lot of
Thanks,
work.
Chris.
Mhm.
Yes.
Ed, you say something?
Nope.
Okay. Okay, item 6, award contract for wastewater department emergency generator upgrade electrical work. Is Chris?
Chris Simeone should be coming up.
Hi, can everybody hear?
We can.
Yes.
Everyone can hear me?
Yes.
You're good.
I apologize, my internet not good. So as you know, this has been a difficult time. So we have solicited bids from seven different electrical companies that have qualified.
So Chris, you're going in and out. So I'm just gonna summarize for you. So you have in your packet the memo from Chris. We have been working on this replacement generator project for the wastewater treatment plant for some time. It has been a challenging project. Oh, there's Chris. Hi, Chris. And
Oh, there.
This phase is the electrical work needed, and Chris has been working diligently on finding a contractor. So you'll see that we have 3 bids. The lowest bid is from All Phase Electric for $89,676. Camille's Electric is slightly over at $89,925, and then Milliken is at $108,080. We are using our state revolving loan funds for this, And they do require that we accept the lowest responsible bid, which would be All Phase Electric.
Have we
So
worked
moved.
with them before?
I
I'm not,
don't,
Ha-
not
Have
to
we?
my knowledge, Sheila.
No?
But
We
they
don't have
are
a
a
choice.
reputable company based on,
Okay, so they're reputable, blah, blah, blah. They can
Yeah.
handle a project this size. Yep.
yes, they can.
Okay.
Anybody want to
Well-
make a motion?
I did. Well, I started. I move that we award the bid to All Phase Electric Incorporated for $89,676.
Second,
Second.
Have a first, and Mike seconds it. Take a roll call vote. Sheila,
Aye.
Pat,
Aye. Aye.
Ed,
Aye.
Mike,
aye.
Alan says aye. Motion carries. Thanks, Chris.
Thank you.
Good night, Chris.
Good night.
Good night. Yep. Item 7, consider giving the town manager the authority to sign both the CMP bill of sale and the CMP street light agreement.
and I believe Jim Stockman and Mike Claus want to come forward for this.
That also mean that Lori gets to go ahead and change 280 bulbs?
We're gonna do it while putting up balsam wreaths.
I'm gonna hold you to that too.
As Mike and Jim. Jim, you're muted.
Mike, this
There
is
you go.
you're on the spotlight.
So we have been working diligently with CMP to get a purchase and sale agreement for our streetlights. Once we had the vote at town meeting to approve the funding, we asked them to come forward with a contract. It's a fairly standard contract that they've done with all the other towns that have purchased streetlights from them. So we're essentially getting the contract that comes through the legislation that allows towns to buy streetlights. The town attorney has looked at it. His main concern was the provision in the contract that since we will be maintaining the lights, that only CMP approved contractors work on the lights. And he said, we just need to make sure that no town employees start working on these CMP streetlights, because that would put us in a position where we would have a lot of liability. We don't plan on doing that. We have an approved contractor under contract. So that satisfied, I think, the town attorney on that point. So I think we are good to go with this, and we're under budget for what we budgeted. So I guess we'd like to go forward.
Okay. Jim, you have anything?
No, I'm
All set?
more here to respond for your questions.
Okay. What's the pleasure of the board?
Well, it was already put in, so
Say that again?
it already got passed at town meeting. So what do we need to do?
We're just authorizing Lori to sign the contract.
Oh,
Correct.
sure. I'll
Second.
make
Okay.
so
I'd like to
moved.
have a motion.
Motion to allow the town manager authority to sign both the CMP bill of bill of sale and CMP street light agreement.
Second.
And Ed seconds it. I'm going to do a roll call. Sheila?
Aye.
Pat? Pat? Aye? Okay, Pat says aye. Ed?
Aye.
Mike?
Aye.
Alan says aye. Motion carries. Thanks, Jim. Thanks, Mike.
Thank you.
Item 8, consider carry forwards from FY 2020.
So can we bring Jen Lord forward?
There she is.
Hi, how are you?
Hey,
Hi.
Jen.
Hi,
Hi,
Jen.
Jen.
So in your packet is the carry forwards for consideration in FY20. So as you know, we had COVID hit us in March, and we put a spending freeze in effect to limit our cash needs as we were not sure of the impact on our budget. So we ended up with several projects that were outstanding that did not get accomplished in last fiscal year. And we're looking to bring those forward into FY21. The other thing on here is the seawall principal for 100,000. And that is the largest amount in this carry forward list. So this carry forward list is more money than normally we would bring forward, but COVID has created some emergencies which we need funding for, and delayed some projects. The one thing on the seawall principal, we originally budgeted for our first payment in FY20. However, because of the timing of the closing of the bond, the payment is not actually due until October of this coming year. So we have two options. One is we can carry the money forward and use it to make the payment. What will happen is that money each year, we could be in that scenario, we would pay it off sooner, but we would each year have to carry the money forward. Or we can let the money lapse to the fund balance, because remember, we did take a large amount from the fund balance for FY21 to balance the budget. Or we could carry this money forward and carry the money forward from FY21 to FY22. And as we prepare the budget for FY22 in January, February of next year, we could just not budget the seawall debt that year and save ourselves 100,000 and put it towards something else that year. So the question for you tonight is whether or not you want to carry forward that 100,000 this year and give ourselves a little balance for the future, or do you want to not carry it forward and let it lapse to fund balance? Jen, do you have anything to add?
Nope, I think you summed it up. Preliminary right now, it looks like we're going to break even, just so you know. And I still have some adjustments to do. I have to wait 90 days out to do a deferred tax revenue adjustment and an excise tax adjustment, which would be for any excise taxes that were due prior to June 30. With COVID this year, where all the municipalities are booking that back to last year.
What's the pleasure of the board?
What is the easiest procedure for you, Jen? I mean, it's sort of 6 of one, half dozen of another. We're still carrying the 100,000 somewhere.
Right. Either way, it's your pleasure. Like Lori explained, it depends if you want to put some back into the fund balance, where this year's budget, we voted to take 600,000. And it looks like we're going to break even at this point right now. So there'll be nothing additional going in there.
So
Did people hear Jen okay? Because she was breaking up a little.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry.
No, I heard you fine.
So if we just go ahead and
So
carry it forward.
If that 100,000 goes into the contingency, does that have to be brought back for the seawall, or can that 100,000 be used for something else? If it goes into.
If it goes back into undesignated fund balance, right? That would, it could be used for something else depending on the vote of the board. But if
it's the vote of the town. So if it goes into fund balance, either way, the money has to be used for the debt service, or if it goes into fund balance, it requires another town meeting vote. So it's not like we can use the 100,000 for something else.
Okay.
But the question is whether or not we want to focus on paying down the seawall debt as early as possible. Whether you want to try and help the fund balance this year because we took so much down for FY21, or whether you want to have a little flexibility in future budgets.
Is there any financial cost to either way that we do this, like lost revenue, interest, or anything?
I think there's interest issues.
And so is there a cost to either decision we make?
At this point, no. Because the money would sit in the account and just keep gaining interest because we don't have to make any payments right now.
But if you made the payment, you'd reduce your interest charge, correct?
We can't make the payment early.
Oh, we can't. Okay.
No.
So how are we gonna make the payment in October if we move this money somewhere? Is it still gonna be,
Well, see, we budgeted for it this year that we're in now too. So we budgeted for it last year thinking the payment was gonna be in May. And instead the payment got moved from May to October. So it's like we have an extra payment right now.
now it's coming back to me, yeah.
So why don't we just go ahead and put it back in the undesignated fund balance?
I think
Yeah,
that's a good idea.
Yeah.
That would be prudent because this is going to be an odd year.
You
Especially if you're
think,
not gonna
Sheila?
save any money, so.
What's that?
So you think it's gonna be an odd year?
Well, it has been so far.
Yes, it
Yeah.
has. Dumpster fire 2020, they call it.
How about a
So
motion?
that would mean the total for carry forward would be reduced to $127,863.50.
Well, that's
Right.
my motion for the carry forward.
And I'll second that.
Oh, I think the internet's down at the town office. They're frozen.
Well, we could carry on a conversation.
Yeah, we could take a vote, exclude them.
Yeah.
I'm here. I'll listen to what you decide to do. I'll take notes.
I think we'll have to have another vote to put the 100,000 into contingency
Right.
after this.
So,
Probably.
so Jen, instead of tying you up, I think we'll wait till Alan and Lori come back on it. Whoop,
Oh,
oh, there you are. There they go.
What a night.
It was
It's
awful.
gonna- It's gonna seem some strange when we actually meet in person again.
Yeah.
I asked you guys to do one favor. Could you round that up to 864 instead of
Isn't that what I
56?
said?
Isn't that what you said?
That's what I said. The internet was down, Jen. You didn't hear it?
Okay, I hear it now. Thanks.
There you are.
Oh, Al,
There you go.
What did you guys, what happened?
I asked that they amend it to be a round number to round up to $4. 127,864 to have no change because that just messes up my budget stuff. I should have looked at that. But I put exactly what our department directors requested.
All right.
Okay. so,
If you need 50 cents, you can borrow it from me, Jen.
Thanks.
I don't know whether she can afford your interest.
No, well, hey, let's not go down that road.
I mean, the one other thing that the selectmen should consider is under contingency, we have miscellaneous. We did not use the contingency last fiscal year. And so I didn't know if you wanted to carry it forward. There are potential COVID expenses that we can't anticipate and weren't budgeted for. You'll remember this budget that we've created is very tight.
I'd carry it forward.
And so we put
Yes.
that in to give you a little more flexibility.
Wouldn't that be included in the 128,864 number? That
That
40,000?
127 Yes, I
Yes,
just wanted to
okay.
point that out to you.
No,
Oh.
I think that's a very wise idea. Put a lot of it back, but save the 40,000 for the unknown.
Good.
So how about a motion?
Oh, I made one. You just
You
disappeared.
just,
I
you
didn't
weren't
hear.
here.
I move that we put 128,000. No, I'm sorry.
One-
I can't even read my own writing. $127,864 in the carry forward.
And I'll second that.
I have a first and a second by Sheila. We'll do a roll call. Sheila,
Aye.
Pat,
Aye. Aye.
Ed,
Aye.
Mike,
Aye.
Alan says aye, motion carries.
And then I would
Yeah.
move that we take $100,000 and put that into the contingency fund.
Second.
No, you can't do that.
We
Oh.
can't?
No. The 100, it would go to the undesignated fund balance, you mean, I think. But
Okay.
that will happen automatically if you don't
Okay.
carry it forward.
So, are we all set?
We are.
Okay, item 9,
Thank you.
discuss short-term rental regulations. Ed,
Yes.
go
Well,
for it.
I'm up. So given that we've had COVID and, as I've described it, dumpster fire 2020, the entire year, I think that we've had a lot of discrepancies in our ordinances, a lot of vulnerabilities in the way that we're able to govern and protect the town come to light this year. And in the beginning stages of COVID, when the governor first issued her emergency order, and tried to restrict entry into the state from areas of higher COVID occurrence, there was a lot of discussion about limiting entry into town. And one of the things that we found was that we had no idea just how many short-term rentals that we had. And I think that we all were aware of a very increased number of out-of-state license plates very early in the year, that we didn't normally see. And people asked me, and I'm sure some of the others here on the board, if we couldn't stop people from coming, stop short-term rentals. And of course we couldn't, because we don't regulate them. The city of Portland licenses them, for example, and they suspended all the licenses in an effort to stop systemic COVID spread. And I think that there are a lot of other reasons that we need to address short-term rentals. And I know we've addressed it before, but nothing really came of it. I live in Cape Porpoise. I know most of you do too. And you look around, and when I was growing up, or even in the last 10 years, you saw the same people here. They might not have been the people that you grew up with, but you saw these people and they were here. And in the past 10 years, especially, a lot of homes have been purchased, and the community is subsidizing ownership of out-of-state owners of properties by allowing them a laissez-faire rental process. We don't charge them a fee. We don't regulate them. We don't ensure that the properties are safe, up to code standards. So I would like to see us have another, it's not that I'd like to see us, I want us to have another crack at this. It isn't that I want to completely eliminate short-term rentals or that the board wants to do that. I'm speaking here for myself, but I think that in conversations with the rest of you, but we can't allow this to go on without rules. In fact, I have been a short-term renter. I own properties and I had rented them short-term. And when I first did it 15 years ago, I couldn't believe there were no rules. Absolutely none. The only rules are by the state. And the only rule that I can see from the state is you need a resale certificate. So the state gets its 7 or whatever they're charging % tax for lodging. Can't hear you, Al.
Or am I muted?
No,
You're
you're
just
okay.
away from your microphone.
Oh, excuse me. There's other reasons besides just that, which that's an important reason. But, you're looking at, we don't know who they are. how to get a hold of them. You don't have any rules or regulations of what we would require to go ahead and, are they going to have a fire inspection? Do they have liability insurance? Things of that nature. And so I would like to see something to work with, some kind of a document that we could, like Laurie and Werner could work on it and bring us back some things and some ideas and inform an ordinance to give to the voters.
Yes.
I'd like to see
That
something
makes sense.
too. And I live in Cape Porpoise, and I've been here 20 years, and it's changed dramatically. Usually not a problem, but we have had 2 occasions on Pier Road this year where one house had 9 cars and parked on Pier Road on the parking, and then on Fisher Lane and everywhere. So, and there's one other house over on Mills Road that had another 8 or 9 cars. So there needs to be some way to at least regulate parking, because some of the parking is not where it's legal. And I'm not sure how we're enforcing all of this, but that's not my issue. My issue right now is that there are a lot of cars, a lot of people, and I agree with Alan and Ed that we need to know somehow who's doing the renting, what kind of, do they have fire, do we have smoke detectors, do we have this, do we have that, and is it safe for the people to come? And then is it safe for us as well? So I think that's a good point. I think it's a good point.
Can I just have Dave bring Werner up so that he can be a part of this discussion as well?
I mean, you don't know whether, they might have 12 or 15 people in one building. You don't know. I mean, I would think there should be a limit of some sort of how many
Yeah,
people can be in a building.
I would do too, because hotels have like a maximum occupancy usually per room of
Right.
some sort. I mean, and this is like a 1 week or a 2 week hotel, basically.
I
And-
think one other question is whether or not there would be a minimum stay. Some communities have a minimum stay of 1 week or a certain number of days, and I don't know how the board is feeling about that.
Absolutely.
Absolutely what?
Absolutely, we should have a minimum stay. The property can only be rented out to once in a 7-day.
is a good microcosm and not necessarily representative of the entire town. And I would argue that one of the organizations and individuals that the town embraced, the Kennebunkport Resort Collection and Tim Harrington, had seen an opportunity based on his marketing and his other successful properties to expand the pull of Kennebunkport to New York and New Jersey. It used to be that most of the summer residents or the seasonal rentals came from Massachusetts or maybe New Hampshire. I've commented regularly, I've never seen so many New Jersey plates in my life. I cycled through Hidden Pond the other night, and every one of those properties was full with out-of-state plates. So I'm not sure that the issue is the smaller homes that Greg was talking about that have been rental properties for a long time. We've had Binnacle Hill come in on top of us. The lot immediately adjacent to us was sold for $650,000, and it's a half-acre lot. The only way we can hold on to our home and stay part of the Kennebunkport community, which my husband's family and my family was over at Drake's Island, have been since the early 1900s for my family and 1951 for my husband's family, is by being able to rent our properties. We do it through a local property manager. We have a 1 week rental minimum. This summer, because of COVID, we canceled every one of our 1 week rentals, and we only rented for a minimum of 3 week stays so that we could keep our house at great expense vacant for a week prior and vacant for a week after, and ensure that all of our tenants comply with the state regulations and sign the forms regarding either quarantining or getting tested beforehand. So I think that there are some issues that could be addressed, like the parking and noise ordinance, but to throw out the work that Greg represented that was done by the short-term rental community because of a COVID exacerbated situation for the summer would be not prudent. Additionally, I would say that many of us were caught by surprise that this was going to be on the selectmen's meeting without advance notice. So Maria Yunker of Beechwood Realty had no idea that this was on here. I contacted other friends who have short-term rentals at Goose Rocks. None of them were aware of the meeting. So I think that you are not going to get the input from the community that will be most impacted. And if you want to keep Kennebunkport the way it was, I think you have to look at where are the issues and who's buying in, because the smaller, if you look at the properties that are being rented, those are families trying to hang on to their summer homes in a market where to walk away and sell would be to someone from out of state with a lot of money that would tear down the home and build a multi-mansion. That's all I have to say. Thank you very much for listening.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you, Lisa.
Thank you. Who else do we have?
Sharon McCabe.
Hi, Sharon McCabe. How are you all?
We're doing well.
Good, good. So many people spoke so eloquently, and I don't want to, but just at the risk of being redundant, I feel so strongly about something related to the noise ordinance and the parking thing. I just feel like as a former administrator in a school, we always tried to simplify the problem first, and that problem of Langsford Road and Pier Road and all that, and our house is right near there as well. That really has to be addressed. And I agree 100% that there shouldn't be 8 cars there. They just shouldn't be. And it's an annoyance and it shouldn't be allowed. I'm not sure why it isn't being addressed. I don't know who isn't calling in and saying, look, this is a problem. We have to look into this. These cars have to be ticketed if they don't move them. I think that should, I hope, be a very simple process. And the same thing with noise. As somebody who owns there, and we've owned there for about 8 years now, but we've been going to Kennebunkport for 35 years, rented many, many houses 35 years ago, beginning 35 years ago. And we're getting older now, and we'd like to move there and stay there for at least 6 months. But the other 6 months, and some of it will be in the wintertime, we can do a winter rental and maybe, 1 or 2 short-term rentals in the summer for a week or 2. But we cannot afford to not rent the house at all. And
So we're not trying to, ma'am, we're not trying to stop you
Yes.
renting at all.
Mhm.
That was never been on the table. We've never talked about that. We just need some form of regulation so we know who's doing what in town.
Right.
So we can go, we don't even know who they are or how many rooms they have to rent or any of that stuff. And we're not trying to put anybody out of business doing this. All we're trying to do is get some data, get some things going on with this so we know who's doing what. That's all we
Yeah.
want to do.
Yeah, I understand, and I attended as many meetings as I could, and I tried to represent the people for the short-term rentals because I'm very interested in the area. I love it, and my family would like to move there as well. My son, every time he comes during the summer, he says he'd love to send his kids to the school there. We have 3 grandchildren that we'd love to have go to the local schools. But again, I think that the discussion of even the increase in prices in housing, everywhere that I know of that's a nice area has increased substantially, and it had nothing to do necessarily with short-term rentals. So I think drawing that, conclusion is a little dangerous. And I wouldn't want us to seem also like we're exclusionary and we're saying, listen, somebody once said to me, well, you should live here all year long. Well, that's my prerogative, honestly. And you live where you live. If you want to live there all year long, that's great. If you don't, you want to go there for 6 months, 8 months, 9 months, you should be allowed, this is a free country, to live where you want, whenever you want. It would be foolish for us to say, okay, we don't want the prices to go up like everyone else is going up all over the country. But I don't think that short-term rentals with the little bit of money that people are making, and even the ones that are making 6, 7, and 8,000 a week, if they paid $1 million, $2 million, $3 million for a home, if they have a mortgage, they're paying a substantial amount of money in mortgage and in taxes and overall carrying charges. So they're not making a ton of money. But I do agree that we shouldn't throw the baby out with the bathwater and just say, okay, it's a free-for-all. Everybody have 15,000 people in the house and we have parking all over the place. And you're annoying everybody with the noise. But quite honestly, when they talked about the statistics last year, and that the statistics were so low, it was a joke, I said, I wonder what's going on and why this is becoming such an issue. And it seemed like it was somewhat settled last year or a year ago, or 2 years ago, that, we were going to let it ride for a while and see how it goes. And it sounds like there were a few instances of annoyance this summer. And I just wonder if anybody did try to call the police and let them do what they could do to help us. So call the ordinance people, the enforcement people, and find out if they could settle the problem, because the owners of the property are responsible. I have a manager who manages mine, and I pay him separately. He lives in Kennebunk. He goes over there. He talks to the people. He'll check them in. He'll check them out. He goes over there if there's any problem. We've never had a complaint ever, and we've owned it for 8 or 9 years. So, a lot of us are very responsible people that really, really care about our home and the community. I know all of our neighbors. They're great people. I love them.
And Sharon, we thank you for that. Unfortunately, our problem comes down to some owners, let's leave it at that, are not responsible. We don't know who they are. People leave trash out on Monday when trash pickup is on Friday, and they don't have a property manager. The only record that we have is the record of ownership at the town office.
Right.
And as you said, we put this aside and we let it go for a while, but the world has changed, circumstances have changed, and we need an ordinance. Does that mean today that I'm saying you can't rent your property, you can't do this? No, it doesn't. What it means is that we have to go through this process and come out the other end, and this is the same to Greg. Greg, I've known you since you were a kid, and I'd really like to have you live in town. I sure would. My family's lived here for 10 generations. This seems to be the thing everybody wants to tell me when they meet me, and I appreciate it. My family first came here in 1761. So if it was a contest, I would win, but it is not a contest. This is about doing what is right for here today and the future, because we are all here today. My ancestors are all gone, but we need to come out the other end of this, and we need to have something concrete that we can all point to and say, well, we like this part of this ordinance and we don't like this part of this ordinance. And then we send it out to the voters and they say they like it up or down. And that's how I will proceed.
I'm sorry. I just, if I can just say as well that I know so many of the short-term rental people just having somewhat informally gone to meetings and reported back. And I know us, we pay for an extra garbage pickup every week in the summer and into the fall, just for us and for our guests. So that Tuesday it's picked up and Friday it's picked up every week. And I know we're not alone. I know there are so many of us who are very, very responsible, and I'm wondering why those who are not being challenged, because those leaving garbage in the front of their house and the animals getting to it, that's because it's not
We
being
do have an
handled
ordinance that says that, but we can't stop them from renting their property because they're violating the rules. And I'm not talking about any specific instances here. I'm just addressing the larger issue here. So let's just say that I was renting my house. As I said, I have multiple properties in Kennebunkport. I chose to rent them annually because it was a lot easier. But if my tenants were leaving their garbage out and the town came and fined me, they could fine me, but they couldn't say, you can't rent your house to people because your tenants aren't doing what they're supposed to be. Under an ordinance, we would have the authority to revoke a license that they were issued. This is, you are running a business. You have to realize that. You have a resale certificate from the state of Maine. I know I had one. So you are running a business. There's no ifs, there's no ands, and there's no buts about that. Short-term rentals are businesses, and we regulate hotels and motels and bars and restaurants. And this is very, very similar, if not identical, to all of that.
Sharon, you've made your point quite well, and I thank you for that. We need to actually move along a little.
All right. Well, thank you for listening.
Thank you, Sharon, and thank you, Greg.
Is there anybody else that has a comment that is out in the public? Any hands? No more hands raised. So, moving right along, I still would like to see some form of a document or a draft of some sort that the board could go ahead and look at and see where we want to go with it and how it's formed, and maybe we can add to it or take away from it. So I'm asking Werner and Lori if they could bring us something that we could chew on in a couple meetings from now or something.
Sure, Werner and I can work on that.
Okay.
Is that something we think we can have ready for the November ballot?
No.
Okay.
No. So what's the rest of the board feel?
I agree with that. I think we should take a look at something, and agreeing with Ed's statement that we're not looking to stop rentals at all. We understand, not at all. But we do need to have some kind of discipline in the process. That's the way we should look at it.
That's a very good way of putting it.
Yes.
Sheila, you okay with that?
I need to step back from this because I own a hotel.
Okay.
And so, I don't want people to think that's why I want to do any regulations. I said it right from the start. I live in a residential area. If you're taking money from somebody to rent out the house, then you're actually doing business. So why am I living in a residential area when all the homes around me are conducting business?
You live at ground zero,
Always-
Sheila.
Point well taken. Pat, do you have anything to add?
Phone, Pat.
I'm sorry, we can't hear you. Okay, well, moving right along, we'll go to the next item.
Okay.
Reappointments to the Cape Porpoise Pier Advisory Committee and the Shellfish Conservation Committee. I'd like to go ahead and have somebody make a motion to move the slate on Cape Porpoise Pier and the Shellfish Conservation.
I just have one question, Alan. Can we go ahead and appoint, since the Cape Porpoise Pier Committee, both these committees are pretty thin, and I do know some people who've expressed interest and I haven't had a chance to catch up with them. Can we appoint them in the, after this to the committee?
I don't know why we can't. We can,
Okay,
can't we,
perfect.
Lori? Lori,
You can always appoint new people later.
Okay.
Yeah.
Great. Then I would like to move the slate for Cape Porpoise Pier, which is Peter Eaton, Ben Noonan, Zandy Talmadge, and Eric Wiles, and the slate for the Shellfish Committee, which is Eric Wiles, Chip Ziner, and Everett Leach, who is also a shellfish warden.
I have a first. Can I have a second?
Second.
I have a first and Mike seconds it, and I'm gonna take a roll call vote. Sheila,
Aye.
Pat? Pat says aye. Ed?
Aye.
Mike?
Aye.
Alan says aye. Motion carries. Item 11, permission for use of Dock Square parking lot in September and October.
So moved.
Second.
No discussion? No discussion.
Been going well, right, Lori?
First.
No issues?
Knock
I have a
on
fir-
wood.
They are so appreciative.
Good.
Just the people who are there are so appreciative that we're able to do this.
Well, we've
It seems to
seen
be working well.
restaurants in the area, maybe not here in Kennebunkport, but we've seen restaurants fail, and we certainly don't want to see that happen here. If we can do anything in our power, and I think this is a small token.
Yep.
So
First and a
make a
second.
motion.
Yeah, we have
Do I
a
have a
first and a
first?
second.
We have a
Let's get a
first.
new internet connection.
Okay, so roll call. Sheila,
Aye.
Pat, Ed,
Aye.
Mike,
Aye.
Alan says aye. Motion carries. Item 12, discussion of business tent and outdoor dining for September and October.
So moved.
I have a
Second.
first. I have a second. Any discussion? Hearing none. I'll make a roll call. Sheila,
Aye.
Pat, Ed,
Aye.
Mike,
Aye.
and Alan says aye also. Motion carries. Accept donations to the Stewart Ballwise Park and Recreation Fund.
So moved.
Second.
I have a first and a second. Any
Very
more discussion?
generous. Very generous offers.
All the way down through the line. Yes,
That's right. I'm sure we'll see more.
you certainly will. I have,
Well, I would just like to say, it was so nice, and Lori got this online, but the Chelmsford class of 1984, which was Stewart's graduating class, sent $600. They took up.
That's terrific.
So that was very nice.
was. So can I have a first and a second?
I think we did. First.
Second.
Okay, I have a first and second. Sheila,
Aye.
Pat, Ed,
Aye.
Mike,
Aye.
Alan says aye. Motion carries. Thank you very much. It's been it's a very generous donation all the way down the line. Item 14, accept $25 donation in memory of Arnold Clough to the nurses' general account from Kenneth and Janice Hutchins, Kathleen Anazuski.
So moved.
Second.
First and a second. Sheila,
Aye.
Pat. Pat says aye. Ed,
Aye.
Mike,
Aye.
Alan says aye. Motion carries. Other business, Sheila,
None.
Ed,
I've spoken too much tonight. None.
Pat, none. Mike,
None.
I have something I'd like to talk about. We were talking about dedicating.
Can't hear you.
We were talking about dedicating. Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. We were talking a while back about dedicating a small piece of real estate in Goose Rocks Beach that the town doesn't own, to dedicate it to Stuart Barwise. And it's right across the street from Edgewood. Do you all remember that?
Yep.
Yes.
And we all pretty much agreed to that, didn't we?
Yep.
So we have, did you get the email from Laurie about dedicated in his memory?
Yeah.
Did you all like that?
Yeah, it's good.
Yes, very much.
Thought it was a great job. Yeah. I think Arlene had something to do with it. Did she, Laurie?
Arlene and I had a collaborative effort.
So should I read this? Laurie?
Sure.
Okay. I think it's, and this is something that we should do. So we're going to have to take a vote on this tonight. Is that correct?
So moved.
Okay.
Second.
I have a first and a second. Is there any more discussion on this? I'm hearing none. I'm going to go ahead and do a roll call. Sheila?
Aye.
Pat? Okay, Pat says aye. Ed?
I regret that I can only say aye once.
Okay. Mike?
Aye.
Alan says aye. Motion carries. I'm going to read this because I think it's great.
Great.
This is going to be a plaque on the piece of property. Laura, you can actually explain better exactly where it's at. It's right near the crosswalk, correct? Across the street from
It's
Edgewood?
where the handicap mat that falls onto the beach is, that entrance there. Right to the left is the town parcel.
And on either side of the town parcel, the Kennebunkport Trust owns, correct?
Correct.
So that's really nice. Anyway, Stuart E. Barwise, dedicated in his memory. This property is dedicated in memory of Stuart Barwise, April 13, 1966, May 23rd, 2020. His service to the community on the Board of Selectmen, Budget Board, Recreation Committee, and RSU 21 Planning Committee will have long-lasting impacts for generations to come. He was a leader, a visionary, a friend, a statesman, and a true Renaissance man. He grew up at Goose Rocks Beach, where he first fell in love with Kennebunkport. Although he traveled the world, his compass and heart always returned to Goose Rocks Beach and home. That's very well done. Laurie did a great job with this. So when can we
Great night.
when can we have a plaque made?
Well, we had discussed using the same graphic designer that the Conservation Trust uses for the trails, so that we'd have something aesthetically pleasing rather than just a plaque. So that might take a little while to put together.
Okay, great.
Fair enough.
Thank you. That's all I have, but I bet Laurie has something.
No, she does.
So one item on our agenda is voting for the MMA vice president and the executive committee members. So you have a slate in front of you, and the MMA proposed vice president is James Bennett of Biddeford. And the executive committee members are Robert Butler from Waldoboro, Terry Helms from Grand Isle, and Diane Hines from the town of Ludlow and Reed Plantation.
And we can nominate all of them for those offices.
Yep, those are all the offices
moved.
open.
So I have a first,
Second,
I have a first and a second. Any more discussion? Hearing none. I'll do a roll call. Sheila,
aye.
Pat. Pat says aye. Ed,
Aye.
Mike. Mike, you.
I had to mute myself. I have grandsons here and
Mike says aye. Alan says aye. Motion carries. So, would you like to do the B, Lori?
Yeah, so we are very sad that Stan and Barbara Barwise are leaving our community and moving north. And in COVID, you know, you can't have goodbye parties like you might in other times. And so we are having a goodbye drive-by. And Barbara and Stan will be on Gravelly Brook Road by the Conservation Trust property next Thursday, August 20th from 11 to noon. I know the agenda says 10:30 to noon, but it's been shortened up to 11 to noon. So if people want to participate, they must enter Gravelly Brook Road from the Arundel Road side. That's very important. You enter from the Arundel Road side. And that way we'll have the distance of Gravelly Brook Road to, in case cars do stack up. And then people can drive by and wave a final goodbye to Stan and Barbara. Stan and Barbara will not be getting close to people. We're going to be maintaining social distancing. We will have somebody there collecting cards, etc., that people might have for them. And we really wish them the best.
Most certainly do. Absolutely. They're great people. Okay. So item 16, approve the August 13th, 2020 treasurer's warrant.
So
So
moved.
moved. Second.
First, I have a first and a second. Roll call. Sheila,
Aye.
Ed,
Aye.
Pat. Pat says aye. Mike,
I,
and Alan says aye. Motion carries. Item
Motion
17.
to adjourn.
I have a motion.
Second,
I have a second. Okay. Roll call.
aye.
Sheila,
Aye.
Ed, yep.
Aye.
Pat. Now I heard Pat that time. Mike,
I.
Alan says aye. Motion carries. Thank you, everyone. We had a great time.
And
Thank
if
you.
I could get 2 selectmen to stop by tomorrow morning to just sign some additional paperwork for the warrant, etc., that'd be great.
Okay.
You got that,
Right.
Pat?